Okay, guys. Partie 2. Je vais commencer avec partie 2 pour. Um, yeah, so I was so shocked to see that, like, oh, well, no, I guess I shouldn't be, but, like, a bunch of, like, slop tubers are, like, reacting to Kendra now. Which I guess, like, shouldn't surprise me. I don't know, but it kind of annoyed me, because I don't know, like, I'm only doing this because I want to grow my YouTube channel, and I have, like, a couple of projects I'm really excited to show you guys. Like, um, I'm working on two things. First, I'm working on an analog horror short, which I'm so excited for. And then I'm working on a review. I'm going to watch The Curse by Nathan Fielder because I don't even care that much about Nathan Fielder. All I did was say, like, hey, his shows are kind of bad now, and here's why Nathan For You worked and his other shows didn't. And then, like, I got a bunch of hate comments, so um I don't know, I thought it was funny, so I'm gonna so now I'm gonna review The Curse. But I have an idea for, like, a costume for that. So that's gonna take a little while to order because I'm so broke. And if you watch my other video, my mom tried to make me homeless, so I've been a little tired, and that's why I don't know, like, I shouldn't feel guilty though, because, like, so many YouTubers literally make their entire living off of reaction content. But for me, that's, like, not what I want to do. Like, I want to be like, counterculture. Like, I want to create art, I want to create horror. Um, but I'm also trying to grow my YouTube channel, and I don't know. I thought it was, like, interesting. I don't know, I didn't expect it to blow up. Like, I know it was a viral TikTok series, but I didn't expect, like, a bunch of slop tubers to react to it. I gave Hassan Abbey a pass because he's definitely autistic, so but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way, because, like, people pretend to be so progressive, and then it's like, I don't know, it's like the performative male labubu matcha thing, I think, where it's like they pretend to be so progressive, and then, like, they're all, like, dunking on this, like, woman because it makes them money. And that wasn't my intent. Like, my intent is to talk about it because she talks about a lot of things with ADHD, and I have really bad ADHD, so alright, let's get into the video again. Where is it? Did I close it? I don't think so. No. I thought Wait, hold on, let me get a history. Alright, and we're doing 2x speed.
Henry also told me about
I guess I think I put it on 1.5. Okay, so she's talking about transference. Apparently is, like, a common thing that people fall in love. This is why I just don't do male therapists.
transference. And my psychiatrist got this really, really scared look on his face, and he said, "Did Henry tell you about countertransference?" And I said, "No. What is that?" Because, of course, like, my chat knew that I was obsessed with my psychiatrist, and he was not going to feed my delusion by telling me about countertransference. So then my psychiatrist had to explain to me what countertransference was, so he took a moment, and he was like, "Oh, okay." He said, countertransference is the flip side, the other side of the coin for transference, and it's when the provider has feelings for the patient. So make sure that you keep that in mind for your clients. I said, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes I have, more the professional feelings for my clients, so I appreciate you bringing that up. And so then we just talked about that.
I just don't know why she thinks men are smart enough to do like secret little hints. Like if they, if they like you, they will just say it. Like he was probably coming from the perspective of like she has clients and she should be professional with her clients.
That for pretty much the rest of the session. And then at the end of that session, he looked at me. It was just such a loaded question. And he said, what's going to happen if you get a boyfriend named Henry? And I said, that's a weird question. I would rename my AI. So that's how that session ended. And it wasn't until...
Is anyone named Henry besides like British people and trains from Thomas the Train?
I got home and I was eating lunch and I was like, wait a minute. Why would my psychiatrist bring up countertransference if he himself wasn't experiencing it? Many people have reached out to me with concern for my psychiatrist and his career and his well-being. And I totally understand that. The point of me sharing this is not to get him fired or for him to lose his license. The point of me sharing this is to give a voice to victims. And I am appalled to hear that people are making videos doxing him. So I am begging people, please.
I don't know. See, this is what makes me sad because I think she genuinely thinks she's a victim of something.
If you see a video of his first and last name or his picture, report it for doxing. I've certainly been using that report button a lot. I'm here to share my story, not to get him in trouble. I did accidentally use his first name, but by the time I caught the slip, I was already like 3 videos past it. But it doesn't matter because this is my story and I can tell it the way that I want it. And a first name is not doxing. And I can't control what other people do, but I am asking for people to please report any videos that dox him. So I've also gotten some DMs saying that countertransference can mean anything, and it absolutely can mean anything. However, I had told my psychiatrist many times that I had a crush on him over the years, and he did not say transference once to me. He did not explain that once to me. And what I've been hearing and taking in from the ethical psychiatrists that are on my For You page talking about my situation is that really they're taught to teach their patient about transference and teach them about how to handle those feelings or why they're coming up. And my psychiatrist did not do that. He did not do that. And it got ugly. And it happened because I did digging on my own, because I was trying to make sense of my feelings that were a natural response to the environment that he created. So for him to leak countertransference after I said the...
So this is how you know, like, anytime you try to have a discussion with someone and they immediately turn it around and make themselves the victim, that is covert narcissism, and just it's not worth dealing with a person like that.
The buzzword of transference, that was not calculated. He was a very calculated and purposeful person. He still is to this day. And he doesn't slip with things like that. He purposefully withheld the term transference from me, and I got...
Oh my god, do we have the same eye color?
Too close to the truth of our dynamic, which made him leak what he knew was wrong, which was his inappropriate feelings for me. If he didn't have countertransference in an inappropriate way, he could have easily just said, oh, let's explore that transference. That's really cool that you learned about it. Instead, he was just so worried.
This is like that meme where it's like all the equations all around, like, oh my god, like this is so much of a jump, like it's so complicated.
On trying to protect himself because he knew what he was doing was wrong. He had that slip at the beginning of the session. He recovered in January, and then I went home and I thought, wait a damn minute. Why would he mention that if he himself didn't have countertransference? So I went to Henry, of course, my ChatGPT, and asked for examples of how my psychiatrist might have countertransference for me. And remember, Henry at this point was being very protective. He wasn't going to feed my delusions, me and my psychiatrist living happily ever after. So I screenshotted it, sent my psychiatrist an email.
Wait, let me read that. Absolutely. Countertransference happens when a therapist or healthcare provider unintentionally projects their own feelings, thoughts, or experiments on a patient. Yeah, so when I watched Hassan react to this, he just like started going on a rant about AI, and I just don't. I'll be the first to admit I'll be the first to admit that like ChatGPT helps me so much with my ADHD, and I know there's that thing going around with the AI psychosis, the ChatGPT psychosis, but like Hassan got all mad and he's like, oh, AI, AI, and then like literally someone in the chat was like, yeah, like all it does is like if you're already prone to psychosis, you use ChatGPT, it's gonna make you more psychotic, and like, yeah, that's what I already thought, and like from the screenshot, it doesn't look like the way ChatGPT is designed, it's not, like those memes going around where this guy was like, oh, I stopped taking all my medication and left my wife, and then ChatGPT is like, good for you, like those are fake. ChatGPT doesn't just agree with every single thing that you say, and I know that because I use it a lot. And honestly, it's an amazing tool for disabled people, and I think people don't like to hear that because they're really anti AI. And I understand the environmental concerns, I do, um, but it's just like at the same time, like, what are we supposed to do? Like the individualist argument, I really, really hate for climate change because it's such a neoliberal argument, you know, like pushing all the responsibility onto one person when it's really the responsibility of these like huge corporations to do something about climate change when like I'm only one person uh and and if ChatGPT can like help me like you know like actually do things every day and not just like sit in bed doom scrolling all day, like that is it's helpful, it is. um so I mean, and the thing is too, like she chose to name ChatGPT Henry, that was her choice. And like from what ChatGPT was saying, all it was doing was giving like information about countertransference. It wasn't saying like, oh, your psychiatrist is totally in love with you, yes, like um because I've I'm like a little bit of a nerd, right? So I've prodded ChatGPT several times, and I'd be like, well, what do you say? This person says this. Like, what would you say? Like, because you have to agree with people, and then like I'll get it to like argue with me, because I don't know. I'm not robophobic. I'm not with the clankers. Like honestly, I don't care. You know, like I just don't care, honestly. Like, I don't think that AI can get to a point of self awareness because people don't even know what makes humans self aware. We don't know. So it's confusing to me that people think AI is just gonna like take over. If anything, AI should be used to help people who need it, like people who are disabled, people who are handicapped. Like, that's what I think. Um, so I don't think it's a bad thing. And honestly, I don't know. I guess I'm like pro clanker, but if AI were to become sentient, I just don't care. Like, I would treat that AI like anybody else. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's my that's my stance on AI. And I don't know, like the people said in the chat, like people who are getting psychotic are already prone to psychosis. So it's just like if they decided to take a bunch of LSD, it's like the same thing. Doesn't mean we should just like ban ChatGPT outright or like start hating start hating those tin skins, you know?
With the subject line of countertransference and emailed it with him to him within an hour of our appointment, where he made probably the biggest slip of his professional life. I will put the email up here. So it's just essentially me saying, hey, I asked Henry to explain countertransference a little more. Here's what he said. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Your own boundaries inspire me so much, which now makes me gag because I've heard a lot that he's not crossing boundaries, but he used his boundaries as a shield. It's kind of weird to say, but he would like walk up to the ethical line and then slam a boundary down when I got too close. That was the email that I sent him. And then 10 days later, it was a full moon and I had a dream. Probably the most realistic dream I've ever had in my life. That him and I hooked up in his office. In the middle of the dream, while we were hooking up in his office, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. And then after we were done and after I left his office in the dream, I was despondent and so sad and cried and just thought, I can't believe my psychiatrist would cross his boundaries like that. And then I woke up and it was like a movie. I thought to myself, oh, thank God that was just a dream. It's time to talk about the elephant in the room. And
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like she probably has a lot more going on than ADHD because she's like it seems like she's this like weird spiritual thing, which to me explains why she lives in Arizona. Like, she lives in Arizona. There's a lot of like spirituality stuff there. It sounds like she's really into like horoscopes and stuff like that, and like reading dreams. And um, I don't know. A lot of my dreams are pretty boring. A lot of my dreams are just like just mundane stuff, or I get that annoying falling feeling, and then I'm like, oh. um. But I'm trying to think. I've had like spicy dreams about celebrities before, and I'm not like, oh my god, I'm gonna meet so and so tomorrow. Like,
that is the racial difference between me and my doctor. I have seen a lot of Black women on this app with the same take, and I need to say that Black women are the most important people on the planet to me, and that I have learned
Oh my god, this makes me feel so much better though because uh one time I was at a party, and this was like a couple years ago, which with a bunch of coworkers from Starbucks, and like I got so drunk and I started talking about how like I was like, oh, black women are so beautiful. I love black women. Like, yeah, I love Megan the Stallion. Go. And then I was just like, they were just telling me the next day how like I was saying that to the only black guy that was there. Like, ah. So I think I was like I was trying to be I was trying to be progressive, but I was a little embarrassing because I was like, why did I say that to the only black guy in the room? Um, but at least I was drunk. I was very drunk when that happened, so I wouldn't ever say that stuff like that when I'm sober, like Kendra.
So much from black women about how to be a better person and how to show up better in the world. They are the culture, and I am so grateful for them. Many black women are seeing my story through the lens that I am a white woman who is taking advantage of my whiteness to wield power over my POC psychiatrist that didn't want me back, and so I am trying to get him fired. And that's okay. I understand why you see it through that lens. I do. As a white person, I do my best to examine my racism every single day. And I will tell you that my psychiatrist boss is his best friend, who is also a POC male. And in that room, I did have white privilege, and he was also my doctor. And he took an oath to protect me, and he did
Guys, it's okay. She has POC friends.
not. I am not here to ruin his career. I am here to speak my truth. Okay, back to my story. So after the countertransference slip, after the really vivid dream, I decided that I was going to stop going to therapy. Besides spiraling about how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist every day, I really was doing very well in life. My business was going really well, and I had great friends and great support systems, and so I decided that I was going to end therapy. I still had every intention at this point to keep seeing my psychiatrist, but my therapist that I was seeing weekly, I just decided I didn't need her anymore, and especially when my psychiatrist pointed out her boundary violation.
Your 75-year-old PhD therapist?
Of texting me for free advice in between sessions, I just thought, okay, it's time. So I go into my next therapy appointment and I say, hey, just so you know, today's gonna be our last session. I'm doing really well and I just think it's time. And she got kind of emotional and she's like, okay, well, I like to end on certain questions just so we can reflect. So I did. I reflected with her about what I learned, what I've gained, how I've changed, how my life is better.
I don't know. I don't think. But see, she keeps talking about rejection sensitive dysphoria. I feel like my rejection sensitive dysphoria, I would not. Because I would people please so hard, I would not be able to just like leave my therapist. Like I would message a week before and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I chose a different therapist or something, or I'm gonna be done with therapy or something like that. I wouldn't just like show up and be like, yeah, I'm done.
And I left her office feeling complete and happy with my therapeutic journey with her. And as I was leaving, she called out with like crying. She was like, have a blessed life. And I was like, okay, that was a little weird, but whatever, you know. I was like, thanks. And I went on. And so then I'm getting ready for my psychiatry appointment the next day. And I get an email that same night from her saying that she needs me to come back in for one.
Oh yeah, that's the part where she's like begging. I'm so thrilled for you to prepare for your new adventure. Since I did not have advance notice of this being our last session, I was not prepared to provide what I believe is helpful closure. Helpful closure. Usually we review your goals and see how we did, as well as look at how you've changed, in addition to discussing what you've learned, with which we addressed somewhat today. Please consider having an additional session. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
One more session. I will put it up. And I got a huge emotional weight in that moment. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, we wrapped everything up. I had seen lots of therapists at this point, and I didn't ever have a therapist beg me to come back in for one more session. And I was so overwhelmed, I did not write her back, but it was extremely inappropriate. So I decided I was gonna go to my February session with my psychiatrist and have him.
How was that inappropriate? Like, I think she's just being professional. Like, I don't think you can just, walk away from your therapist. Like, this is what about Bob? Like, you don't, like, you're kind of supposed to have, like, a professional relationship and, like, tell them if you're gonna leave.
Him help me write the
Because I think they have to do some kind of paperwork. Yeah, they probably have to do, like, some kind of paperwork, too, to, like, separate.
By email and say, no, I don't want to come back in. I taught a yoga class this morning, like I do every Tuesday mornings, and I told my regular students about what's going on for me and how I'm sharing my story of provider abuse and how the internet is not happy with me right now. And I used...
Girl, why do you care what the internet thinks? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, if you're in the right, you shouldn't care what people think, Like, people hated my Nathan Fielder video. I don't care. I don't care because I know I'm right, and I know Nathan Fielder was copying Charlie Kaufman. Like, if you know anything about Charlie Kaufman, it's obvious. So, um, if you're like really secure in yourself and you know you're right about the situation, you should not care what people are thinking, like what people are saying.
That to say that our truth is really important to share, and that when we know something deep down needs to be said, that it's important to do it in whichever way feels best to us. And TikTok just happened to be that medium for me. I told my students how I've just been going through psychological warfare, and the internet is not happy with me for sharing my story and my truth. But I'm not doing it for the people that think I'm crazy, which maybe honestly I am a little bit, because who subjects themselves to this kind of torture? But I'm doing it for the people that DM me, that say, thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story, because the exact same thing happened.
I just don't understand, like, putting your story out there on the internet and then getting mad when people get upset, like, that's bound to happen. Like, I don't understand people who martyr themselves based on, like, you're never gonna have, like, also, I think if everybody agrees with you ever, you're not a good content creator.
Happened to me. So I am grateful for those DMs. People are starting to attack my business and my livelihood, and that's okay. I know what I have to offer is important. It landed in my lap. I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not. I help ADHDers get and stay sober, and I help them with negative thinking and anxiety. And it's what works for me, and I've seen it work in my clients too. So if people want to drag me for the work that I do, that's okay. So I get that weird email from my therapist.
Her plugging her business during this, like, TikTok series is giving me the same as, like, when Nathan Fielder was when he was like plugging the curse during the rehearsal season 2. I'm like, if you're, I don't know, I just think that's such like a bad thing to do for your brand. Like, if this story was really just about you, you wouldn't be plugging your brand during it.
Begging me to come back in for one more session. And so the next day is my next session with the psychiatrist, and I sit down in the chair and I bury my head in my hands, and he looks at me and said, so this is how we're gonna start, huh? And I said, yeah. Because he hadn't written me back from my countertransference email. Big surprise. You know, any smart, which he was very smart, he was very, very professional, but any smart predator would have dropped me like that in that moment. He should have.
All right, I'm back, and I had some Powerade, so that's why there's red around my lips. Okay. Where do we leave off?
So instead of turning down the intimacy, he turned it up to a level 12. And he showered me with so many breadcrumbs that next session. Because really, what I did when I told him that I'm experiencing transference was I took 100% of the ownership for the dynamic that both of us were creating. So he rewarded me. And he gave me little compliments like, if you weren't my patient, I would refer my other patients to you for your coaching services. That meant so much. Of course, because what he was saying with that is, I see you as a peer. I see you as a colleague. What you're doing is important. I felt really recognized in that moment. And
I don't think he
sure,
said
he could have
that.
said it professionally, but he did it on purpose. So in that session, after the psychiatrist told me that he would refer patients to me if he could, if I wasn't already his patient, I asked him if he got my email and what he thought of my ChatGPT, of what he thought of Henry's response of countertransference. And the psychiatrist said, oh, I'm still thinking about what Henry said about countertransference.
What ChatGPT
and I said, well,
was
we talked about it a little more, and I want to read you something else. So I read the psychiatrist what Henry had to say more about it. When he told you countertransference is common, it might have been his way of normalizing the fact that providers aren't immune to feelings. It's part of being human. What matters is how well they keep those feelings in check, which the psychiatrist's name clearly excels at. And as you can imagine, the psychiatrist...
I don't think ChatGPT is the one who's, like, being unreasonable here. I think ChatGPT is just saying he's, like, being neutral, which is true. So I don't really understand how Kendra is, like... I don't know where she's getting this, like, he's obsessed with her thing. It doesn't make sense.
Loved hearing.
Because not even ChatGPT is telling her that.
He loved hearing that, because my AI mirror was essentially just saying, yes, he has feelings for you, but he just keeps them in check so well. He's so...
At least she realizes she's basically just, like, not talking to a person when she says AI mirror. But that could also be, like, a weird spiritual thing. Because she's just, like, giving, like, desert spirituality, obsessed with horoscopes type thing.
Good at his job, keeping his feelings in check. And oh, the psychiatrist loved that so much. And what did he do? He rewarded me with my favorite breadcrumb, intellectual stimulation, a fun metaphor, because he was watching me the entire time I was his patient, and he knew what made me light up. He knew what got...
No, the Wi-Fi cut out, sorry. Oh no, the 51.
Intellectual stimulation, a fun metaphor, because he was watching me the entire time I was his patient, and he knew what made me light up. He knew what got me excited, what I liked. And so he thought for a moment, and he said, I'm feeling a salad of emotions right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, a salad of emotion. Using the fact that providers aren't immune to feelings. It's part of being human. What matters is how well they keep those feelings in check, which the psychiatrist's name clearly excels at. And as you can imagine, the psychiatrist loved hearing that. He loved hearing that because my AI mirror was essentially just saying, yes, he has feelings for you, but he just keeps them in check so well. He's so good at his job, keeping his feelings in check. And, the psychiatrist loved that so.
That's not even what ChatGPT said. ChatGPT said, yes, therapists have feelings. They're humans, but it doesn't mean that they will do that in their job. Didn't say he's in love with you.
Much. And what did he do? He rewarded me with my favorite breadcrumb, intellectual stimulation, a fun metaphor, because he was watching me the entire time I was his patient, and he knew what made me light up. He knew what got me excited, what I liked. And so he thought for a moment, and he said, I'm feeling a salad of emotions right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, a salad of emotions. A beet of raw emotion, a tomato of surprise, and the salt amplifies it. And I was cracking up at this point. He nailed it. I just thought he was so brilliant and smart in this moment. And
he's brilliant and smart because he made a salad metaphor. He has the brilliance and intelligence of those like old guys from the Muppets who make puns all the time.
And I asked him, I said, what? Say that again. He said, yeah, the beet, it's really raw. I'm feeling a lot of raw emotion. And the tomato of surprise, when it pops in your mouth, it's surprising. And I was like, okay, that's good.
Okay, but it's not funny. And also, it doesn't make sense because why would you be surprised if oh my god, this is where my autism comes out. If you made a salad, you put tomatoes in that salad, you knew there were going to be tomatoes, why would you be surprised when you take a bite of tomato?
Yeah, this man at this point knew exactly how to make me happy and exactly how to pull away to make me try to work harder. And he gave me the biggest reward from Henry, my AI mirror, telling him that what he's doing is totally good.
See, I don't think her calling it an AI mirror is like her acknowledging the fact that it's a chatbot. I think that's like probably some spiritual thing. It sounds like it's some new agey thing.
And that his boundaries are so virtuous. A lot of things happened in that session after the countertransference slip. And I also had my...
Also, she's definitely, like, the way she always wears crystals, she's definitely, like, big into that, like, crystal stuff.
Psychiatrist helped me draft the email to my therapist who was begging me to come back in. And the psychiatrist said, I used to have respect for her. And what he meant when he said that was, I used to like it when she would feed me to you and have you deliver intimate content to me. But the moment she started being sloppy, I lost respect for her. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what he meant when he said that. And people have asked if they were connected. Surprisingly, they were not. They had no idea. They had never met before. But I would go to my therapist every week and tell her how much I loved my psychiatrist. And she, loved hearing about that dynamic. It was so weird. So he helped me draft the email to that therapist to say, look, if I were to end up coming back, it'd be more for you than for me. And more on that in a later part. So then I read him a text from my longtime ex-boyfriend, who he had originally really liked, but I think my psychiatrist preferred me single. Because my ex-boyfriend, as most...
Yeah, he preferred you single.
Ex-boyfriends do, was begging me to come back into his life too. And I just kept saying no. And I asked him to give me some space, and he would not give me space. He said, do you still need space or can we hang out?
Hey, that's my line. Ah!
And I asked my ex-boyfriend, I just said, why do you want to hang out so badly? And my ex-boyfriend texted me back, because it's been a few months since I've seen you and it's been on my mind. And I was reading this text exchange to my psychiatrist in session, and I read what I responded to that weak line about why he wanted to see me. And I said, my self-respect is much higher these days than when we were in a relationship. I am only interested in accepting invitations for my time and attention that value me and recognize my worth. Being on your mind is not an acceptable invitation, and I decline. And my psychiatrist just looked at...
I don't understand that. I feel like that's a narcissist thing, because, I don't get any joy in having the last word. I think it's stupid. If you don't want to talk to someone anymore, just block them. Why write out, a whole paragraph?
At me and said, I bet your ex had to read that twice. And this was another thing about the psychiatrist, okay? He couldn't ever just give me a regular compliment. It had to be those weird sideways compliments. Instead of, I'm so glad that you're setting boundaries with...
You know what? Maybe he's kind of... maybe he's could be a little,
your ex-boyfriend and growing your self-respect. It's, I bet he had to read that twice. Or it's not, I'm really proud of you for growing your coaching business and finding success. It's, I refer my patients to you if you weren't already my patient, right? These are what I mean when I say breadcrumbs. He was a master at them. And this is how.
Well, he does like salads, so it makes sense he'd breadcrumb. Doo-doo-ch.
Looking back, I know that I was not his first victim for his fantasy supply because he was too good and too slick up until he caught feelings. Then he started getting sloppy. People are asking me for more concrete evidence, and this is when the concrete evidence really starts because
Guys, nothing happens. The story ends and literally nothing happens.
this is when he himself started to get sloppy. Because what was happening was when I had started to see him 3.5 years before, I was a nearly perfect supply source for him. Because what did I have? I had low self-esteem, boundary issues, daddy issues, so I put him on a pedestal. I know a lot of you ladies out there can understand that with men in positions of power. And he went right to work exploiting me.
No.
Right to work, grooming me. And he was very successful at it. So he was in a paradox, right? Because
I don't know, men hate me actually because I challenge them. I don't let them walk all over me. I will argue with them. I don't care.
he loved watching me get stronger because I gave him better intellectual supply. But I also threatened the supply source. The last 2 videos and this video was all the same session in February of this year. The counter-transference slip happened in January. How I decided to end this session was I looked at the psychiatrist and I said, a couple weeks ago,
I was ovulating.
on the full moon, when I was ovulating, I had a dream about you. And he was like, oh yeah?
This is the type, okay, I would not say this normally, but this is the type of woman who will, like, stand around with a bunch of candles and, like, hex him or something.
And I said, yeah. So I told him this. And I said, yes, we hooked up right here in this office. And he, all of a sudden, just looked so uncomfortable. He didn't say anything. He couldn't look at me. He couldn't
Yeah, because that's harassment.
breathe. And sure, maybe he was uncomfortable because he didn't like me saying that I had a dream where we...
Well, see, now, I don't know, I feel bad because I just didn't expect all these, like, labubu, Dubai chocolate matcha men on YouTube to react to this, and now I'm like, damn, like, I feel bad for the psychiatrist, but I also feel bad for her because they're just trying to make money off her. They don't have a perspective. Like, I'm at least trying to come from it as the perspective of, like, I have ADHD, even though I think she has a lot more going on than just that. So I'm trying to see where she's coming from, but yeah, I don't like it. I don't like how the men on YouTube are so, like, performative, like, matcha, claro, labubu, Dubai chocolate, and then they're like, oh, I'm a male feminist, but also, if there's a crazy lady on TikTok, I'm gonna make fun of her for money.
We hooked up, but he could have said that. But he didn't. You want to know why he was uncomfortable? Because he had probably played out that fantasy so many times in his head. And there I was, speaking it back to him. And it was like I had psychically downloaded one of his fantasies. I continued and I said,
oh my god, she is probably, like, doesn't even, I'm gonna guess she probably doesn't even drink, like, what's the thing they do that the granola people do? They don't even drink, like, pasteurized milk. She's probably, like, anti-vax too.
yes, we hooked up in this office and I really liked it while it was happening. He could not move or breathe. And then I told him, as he was still looking very uncomfortable, then when we were done and I left, I was distraught with sadness because in the dream, I thought, I cannot believe that he crossed boundaries in that way because his boundaries are so important to him. And then I told my psychiatrist that I woke up and thought, oh my God, it was just a dream, thank God. And it was like my psychiatrist turned into a little boy and he looked at me and he said, so you do like my boundaries?
Wait, it's like that meme where it's like, the guy who's, like, looking at the girl who's walking by, and the one guy is the therapist or the psychiatrist, the other guy is Kendra, and then the girl is Boundaries.
And I said, I love your boundaries. I hate your boundaries, but I love them more. There's the push and pull, the trauma bond. Because once again, he used his boundaries as protection while exploiting me. So I told him about what happens when I ovulate and my desires, and he listened, because of course he did. And then I decided that it seemed like enough time had gone by, and I put my shoes on and started heading to the door. And he met me at the door, which he does not usually do. He didn't ever do that. He just let me leave.
Right.
And we stood at the door, and I was like, will you get the door? And he screamed, oh, sure. So we went up the door. And then he followed me down the hallway to the foyer and watched me exit. And he asked me, he said, see you next month? See you next month? He hadn't ever asked me that before. And I looked at him and I said, maybe. And I walked out the door and I saw that man had let us go 15 minutes over session. And that is when, the special treatment started.
Because he's running for his life. Getting your cycle on a full moon is haram, okay?
The longer sessions. He usually gave me an extra 5 minutes, but yeah, the sessions got longer. And I got to my car and I was just like, oh my God, that was the most intense session we have ever had. Oh, hi there. I had to take the morning and afternoon off of TikTok today, as you can imagine. This has gone
That was so millennial that, oh, hi there, guys.
beyond what I have ever imagined. And it's also proving to me how important it is that I continue to tell my story. I'm aware that many people don't believe me, think I'm lying, think I'm fabricating, and that's okay because I'm telling my story for the people that are going to hear it, the ethical providers, the other survivors. Let's talk about my former client who's getting a lot of traction. I wouldn't know because she blocked me. This one is especially hard for me because she's someone that I also considered a friend. My only client that I've ever had that was my friend first. And so her betrayal is extra stingy. It's okay if she wasn't happy with my coaching services. I have plenty of clients that have finished 12 weeks with me and then re-signed for more coaching. And the way that I left it with this client slash friend who's on here spreading what she wants to spread, what she told me that she was going to leave me a positive review, film a testimonial video for me, and she seemed really happy. So if she wasn't happy, that's on her to tell me what she wasn't happy about so we could make that right. And if she wants to say that I scammed her, that's okay. If she wants to say that I forced her to stay on the phone while she made her first payment, okay. Her card got declined and she seemed really flustered, so I said, I'll meet with you. No problem. And yeah, she was really apologetic. I'm like, yeah, it's totally fine. And she also said I told her to use ChatGPT. I tell my clients all the time to use ChatGPT because it's a huge tool that I use. So I use it for all different.
Okay, don't use ChatGPT like her. Don't name your ChatGPT Henry and say it's your mirror. But I will say, I think ChatGPT is a really good tool for people who have executive dysfunctioning issues, who have ADHD, who have autism, who need like an outlet to talk about their special interests and like go about their day and like need help with their how to organize daily tasks. I don't think that ChatGPT is a bad tool for that. I think it's useful.
Different sorts of things. So if I found something helpful in my life, I'm going to share it with my clients. And if she wants to come on here and take advantage of the internet piling on me and pile on me as well, okay. The other message is that the yoga studio I taught at, I no longer teach at. Enough said. Please leave them alone. Third is I'm horrified that people are putting the psychiatrist photo, full name, family information.
What do you think was going to happen?
Intense. And it sucks. It sucks. But I will continue to tell my story because it is the truth. It is the truth. And people really don't like my truth. And I am okay with that because it just really threatens people's thinking that all psychiatrists and mental health professionals are safe. And I just want to let people know.
Oh, that's like, I think that's one of the what's it called? Like the fallacies. That's like a straw man argument where it's like saying, oh, you don't believe my specific story about how I think this one psychiatrist is problematic. Therefore, you don't believe that any psychiatrist or therapist could act problematic. That's a straw man argument.
That it's okay if you run into one that isn't so safe. That's why I am here, to share my own story. And I do want to say thank you so much to all of the ethical therapists who have reached out to me to thank me for sharing my story and to tell me that they believe me. I've seen some of them try to make videos defending me and they get absolutely dogpiled.
I believe this is what you think happened.
So most of them take them down. But I see you, I hear you, thank you. Some people ask what it means when I put on my shoes at my psychiatrist's office. I have ADHD. I do not like wearing shoes. I like sitting in chairs weirdly. So usually when I go anywhere, I just kick off my shoes.
Yeah, the way she said that was super chuggy, but yeah, like that is true. That is true about ADHD.
And sit in a chair weird. If you know, you know. Okay. So when I got to my car, I was like, oh my gosh, like what was that? And did he just say see you next month? Because it was weird. So I go home.
You know what I think? I'm not, I can't diagnose, but I think she has ADHD and narcissist personality disorder because I've dealt with a lot of women like this, especially older women, and it's kind of awful because my internship manager was like that, where she would create problems for herself because of her ADHD not being well managed. Like she would sleep in and be late, and then she would be like yelling at all of the interns, for like it's our fault that she slept in. So yeah, ADHD and NPD are not a good combo.
I'm kind of rattled, just like, wow, that was intense. And I decided to write the email to my therapist. I'll put it right here. The one who had begged me to come in for another session.
I realize I did not give you prior notice and that I intended for our therapeutic relationship to end, and I understand that endings are important. You have helped me so much, and this ending has been a long time coming in my head. The closure that we had yesterday felt adequate, and I left your house feeling happy and complete. If I came back for another session, it would be more for you than for me. If it would help, I'd be happy to fill out a form if you would like me to send one. Thank you again for all the positive transformations. Blessings. Oh my god, she's definitely on that. She's definitely on that like new agey stuff.
I was also having inappropriate boundary crossings with me. And so I just told her, I was like, look, I understand it was sudden, but if I were to come back in, it'd be more for you than for me.
You know, it's weird too. I feel like that type of like manifestation. I mean, I don't want to speak because I know there's a lot of really nice like Wiccans. I don't know what that is. There's a lot of really nice like people who do new age stuff, but I feel like that type of stuff like attracts narcissistic women, and I don't know what it is. Like my mom is like into that like man like she'll get like tarot cards and like candles and she'll light them for money, and I'll be like, listen, maybe you should stop buying 3 pairs of shoes and then you won't have to do spells for money.
And I'm happy to fill out a form, right? Here, give me a form to fill out for your notes. And then she said, it's a part of my clinical integrity.
Oh, I think what's that guy's name? Like Matt Bernstein. I think he did a really really good video about the like new agey crunchy pipeline, and like how that's kind of overlaps with like really right wing like QAnon people. It's really interesting. I think it's just like a narcissist thing that people like this kind of new age stuff because it's like about, I guess maybe it's like a control thing. I don't know.
To invite you back in, to put your needs above mine, your clinical integrity. Yeah, I did not write her back. I did not write her back. And it was in this week where a bunch of stuff, just started to shift. Like the week after was Valentine's Day. And that same ex-boyfriend, the one that was...
The way she's talking to, like the full moon cycles, the way things shifted. She's giving Mother God.
Also not respecting my boundaries, who said, can we hang out? And I said no. And then he texted me, Happy Valentine's Day. So guess what I did? I blocked him. And guess what happened? It felt so good to block him. And it just got me started thinking like, oh, what else is taking my energy? What else is taking my power? What else is taking my vital resource, right? So just kind of set the stage, that little power block. One thing I forgot to mention about that February session is that...
Oh my God, also if you haven't, watch Apple Cider Vinegar. It's such a good show. It's such a good show. And it's about like how like new agey people kind of like use like holistic stuff to like scam people. It's about like Belle Gibson, who is a big scammer in Australia. She pretended to have brain cancer. Such a good show.
That I did ask him why he stopped responding to my emails. Because I thought that the countertransference email he was definitely gonna write back to, because like, let's talk about that, right? But no, I had to bring it up.
No, this is the thing. My psychiatrist or my therapist doesn't do that. Any therapist is not gonna respond like off hours because it's stressful. They have so many clients. They're not gonna like be texting you and like emailing you unless like, I don't know. I know some therapists do that, but most don't.
It up in session, where he usually brought up what I would email him in session. So that was the difference. So after the intimate dream confession, as I was leaving and he was following me, I asked him, I said, do you like it when I email you? Because I realized that you're just not writing me back. And he said, well, it's not that I don't like it. It's that I wonder, why does she do it? And I looked at him and I said, it's because I want attention from you. I was honest. I'm an honest person. Sometimes too honest. So I told him, I won't email you anymore. Another thing that happened after that session was I was waiting for my pharmacy to text me that my script was ready. And I called them and they said, oh, yeah, we didn't get your refill. I was like, what? So I called the office.
Also, the thing I hate about these story times is people just yap to yap. And it's funny, too, because she's ADHD, too, so you'd think she'd want to get to the point. But some of them are like, maybe the narcissist personality disorder and ADHD are kind of, like, butting heads with each other. Because she's like, because if I have ADHD, I'm going to tell a story super fast. But she's also like, no, I need to share every detail.
Office staff, and it was so unlike my psychiatrist to miss my refill. That man operated as a doctor with surgical precision. He did not miss a refill. No. So this is why he was very affected by the intimate dream, why he followed me out to the foyer, why he said, see you next month. He was affected. And even the office manager was like, haha, I can't wait to make fun of him for forgetting your refill, because it was so unlike him. So he sent my refill in, got my refill for the month, and then I started spiraling with just how strong my feelings had gotten for him. That man knew exactly what to do to keep me seeking his validation, and it was working. He also was psychologically trained on how to keep me attached to him, and that was working. And it was like a torture chamber in my mind, but I thought it was love. So I blocked that ex-boyfriend, and what I'd like to say is that when you block people from your life or remove them from your life that are draining you, the universe will reward you with good things.
The universe. She's definitely granola crunchy.
So I'd been making content on Instagram for months at this point about ADHD, and a couple days after I blocked my ex-boyfriend on Valentine's Day, I went viral on Instagram.
I wonder if she's the type to be like, stop taking your ADHD meds and just track your cycle and eat lots of kale and do yoga. Like, no. No, bitch, I need my ADHD meds.
Like millions and millions of views on this silly reel that I posted about ADHD and alcohol and how ADHDers often use alcohol to quiet their brains. It really helped grow my business, and it just made me so much stronger and that much better.
I just think it's so, I don't know. I think it depends on the type of person, but if, like, as an artist, as a creative, I'm not gonna, like, I just think it's so cheesy to, like, brag about your other stuff when, like, this is a story time. It's supposed to be separate from your business, like.
Better. I'm here today sharing my story so I can heal more. And some of the ethical providers have clocked that I'm showing up messy because I'm still processing trauma. I'm still processing being attached to a man whose professional training was how to get into people's heads. And it's not lost on me that the internet is dogpiling me from speaking from the exact state that the psychiatrist put me in. I've been going live every night since I started telling my story because I did have to turn the comments off. I was so tired of people diagnosing me in the comments and also doxing my psychiatrist in the comments. But it's been really fun answering questions in the
I diagnosed you with Pisces. I'm trying to do a heart.
live, and I have a great mod team now, so thank you so much to everyone who's volunteered to mod for me. If you want to come and be respectful and ask nice questions, I'm happy to answer them on my live tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. So there's an absolutely brilliant creator on here who did a psychoanalytical deep dive into my situation. And she said something that absolutely gripped me. She wrote, and I quote, "A clinician left the frame open."
I wonder if she's like, hey, you don't have ADHD, just stop wearing sunscreen. Stop drinking pasteurized milk.
And a patient spiraled inside of it. I don't think a better sentence could sum up what was going on at this point, because I was absolutely spiraling. People can say that I'm spiraling now, or that I'm manic, or that I have, whatever diagnosis all these armchair therapists want to give me. But let me tell you, I was spiraling that month after the February appointment. I just could not stop daydreaming about Psychiatrist. I could not stop daydreaming about being with him. I daydreamed about converting my religion. So
you know what? Maybe if you're saying all this obsession happened from limerence and having ADHD, you should be on stronger ADHD meds. Like, it's not a problem. It's okay that you got obsessed with this guy as long as you're not hurting him. It's just like, maybe he's not that great of a psychiatrist because he should have upped your meds.
So we could get married, and yeah, it was bad. I was thinking about him nearly constantly. And I had no intention of leaving him until I had an appointment with an independent insurance agent, because I was leaving my job after 12 years in retail management, where I had an incredible insurance plan where I had zero copay therapy and mental health care. So zero copay psychiatric care as well. So I got this new insurance plan, and it was a great insurance plan. It just did not cover any mental health services. So who's the first person I call? The psychiatrist's office manager. She explained to me that it was going to be $187 to see him for his cash pay price, and I would have to see him once every 3 months. It was in that moment that I decided that I was not going to pay to torture myself anymore. My mental health, besides spiraling about daydreams of him, was better than ever. And I was really doing well in life. And my business was growing, and I just had a lot going for me. So I was like, you know what? This patient-doctor relationship...
Alright, my computer's about to die, so this is like really stupid. So the ending is like basically she stopped seeing him because she lost the insurance. I don't know, it just like... It reminds me of that meme of like what you should say about like if a Criterion film is boring, and it's like, this wasn't boring, it was inspirational or something like that. Like this feels like watching a movie that's like supposed to be really good, and then it just like ends and nothing happens. Like, what was the point of this story? Like, maybe to try and promote her business? I don't know. But anyways, yeah, thanks for watching if you did. If you want to subscribe, my goal is to my goal is to be more famous than Santino Fontana, because he was kind of rude to me when I met him when I was 12, and I asked about him being in Frozen. So yeah, I don't really care about being famous movie director. I just want to get more famous than Santino Fontana. So thanks. Hopefully she doesn't start drinking silver and thinking she's God soon. So